Well, let's go ahead and call tonight's meeting, and if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pape,
Here.
Councilmember Shavetta,
Here.
Councilmember Kozmeyer,
Here.
Councilmember Hands,
Here.
Councilmember Caldwell,
Here.
Councilmember Leahy, Councilmember Ryder,
Here.
Councilmember Silvers,
Here.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item up this evening is public items. Members of the public are encouraged to use this time to make comments about matters that do not appear on the agenda. Comments about items on the regular agenda will be taken up as each item is considered. Please note, individuals making public comments will be limited to 5 minutes. In accordance with governing body rules and procedures, the city reserves the right to refuse public comments that are personal, impertinent, or slanderous. I do have a sign-up sheet, and I have a couple individuals that have signed up this evening, and we'll just take these in the order of people signed up. I have Mr. Nate Zosky. Would you come to the podium, sir, and give us your name and address for the record, and you got 5 minutes.
Okay, very well. My name is Nate Zoschke. Address is 8204 West 59th Terrace in Merriam. I want to preface my comments by saying I have not spoken before at a city council meeting. I'm not someone who really enjoys public speaking, nor is this something that's necessarily easy for me. The reason I'm here is because I grew up in Merriam. I bought a house here. I'd like to stay here as long as I can. I'm hurt and disappointed by the actions of the city council at last Monday's council meeting where you guys approved the ordinance for the Grand Market Station development. I'm not happy. I'm just finding out about this bond sale that's going to happen in 2 days after it's a done deal. This really isn't a debate about which grocery tenant we should get or whether Trader Joe's is high-end or budget-friendly. I think those inane debates are really a distraction from the real issue, and I think that comes down to transparency and the responsible use of economic development incentives. As much as I'd like to have a good frittata or a good Eggs Benedict, I would prefer we not foot the bill for a developer to bring in a corporate-owned grocery store. I am upset by the City Council's overzealous use of tax incentives, including more than $6 million in economic development grants, essentially handouts to purchase Shell and Chipotle properties, along with close to $14 million in TIF reimbursements. This is part of a total incentive package of over $50 million, which is half of the already high $102 million project estimate, all to bring in a grocery store that will compete with more than 10 grocery stores already well within a 10-minute drive. To my knowledge, none of those stores received such incentives. The most recent, Al Super, opened just 3 minutes away without any incentives, showing that the market supports new grocery stores here without government intervention. Merriam is not a food desert, nor is it a highly impoverished community. We're not lacking in grocery options, and we're not so affluent that higher-end stores always succeed here. Just look at the Hen House and Wild Oats Market, which didn't last. The Wild Oats space in downtown Mission has been vacant for nearly 20 years. We're a working-class suburb that supports its grocery stores on a market basis. Now those stores, including local and employee-owned businesses, must compete with a specialty option that's being given $32 million in general obligation bonds backed by the full faith and credit of the city. That means taxpayers are on the hook if the new 1% sales tax and tenant rents don't cover bond payments. Usually these projects use industrial revenue bonds for a reason. There are strict requirements in the Internal Revenue Code for tax-exempt municipal bonds, and I am skeptical those requirements have been met here, at least in spirit. In addition to the $6 million in grants and $32 million in bonds, the developer is getting a sales tax exemption on construction materials, over $13 million in TIF reimbursements, and we're paying a new 1% sales tax within the SID that's being expanded. I think this is a runaway use of free-range incentives. Citizens have been deprived of due process. Public hearing notices required under Kansas law were buried in the legal record, which is a publication most people have never heard of. I didn't even know it existed until I saw an affidavit of publication attached to the council agenda from last week's meeting. The legal record calls itself a newspaper of general circulation, but in reality it's not. It's a public notice mill. No one I know even subscribes to it. I'm embarrassed to admit I just learned I was supposed to check the legal record for public hearing notices, and I'm even more ashamed to admit that I voted for the incumbents in this room. We deserve better transparency. If the city is unwilling to repeal these ordinances, I am asking for the following. Number one, create an email subscriber list for future public hearing notices and allow residents to speak via phone or video conference. Number two, hold community workshops with proper notice to discuss tenant selection, design, traffic, parking, accessibility, and environmental impact. For this level of incentives, we should expect something that is architecturally magnificent,
You have 30 seconds, sir.
green and sustainable, and adheres to the best practices and beyond what the ADA requires. And we'd like to have responsible guidelines for future incentive use. And with that, I would like to thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments, sir. All right, next individual up this evening would be Mr. Brad Bittaker. Please come forward, sir. Thank you.
Can I approach and give paperwork to you and a council person?
Sure.
So like our previous folk here, I'm not a public speaker and I'm not used to this, so bear with me. I'll hopefully do this in 5 minutes. So I have a rental home at 6210 Hadley. What I'm concerned about is a property at 6212 Hadley. The Harmons own it, Laura and Zach. I've typed out a brief summary, and so here's what's going on. There's egregious code violations on the Harmons home on Hadley. I've made numerous complaints through the code department, and they've been great to work with, but they've done all they can do. I've worked directly with the Harmons since February to see if I could help them. I initially offered to possibly buy their home, help them find labor to remove all items, and even paid them to get a U-Haul to move their stuff out and clean their yard. I mowed their front yard personally, and have had it professionally mowed until last week. The Harmons seem to believe that I promised to buy their home, assumed I would incur all expenses to haul away trash, pay for storage units, fix their car, and buy their home before they moved out. On June 14th, Laura texted me to see if I wanted to still buy their home. I told her I was not and explained why in my text. In the text, I said I was clear from the beginning of our conversation that I would need to see all of the home. I have, after months of setting dates to meet, saw the first floor and have never been able to view the garage or basement. Note, you have to go through the garage to get to the basement. Her reply to my text was, wow, just wow, you really effed us over. You lied and whatever you had to say to get our yard cleaned up, unbelievable. My reply, and last reply, was, I explained my intent was to always help them, and the goal was to help them get as much money for their home as possible, if in fact they really wanted to sell it. That's questionable. I said I would not correspond to them again, and I've not. Since that text, she has sent me cryptic text threatening to pile trash in our rental yard, and then on June 18th, she texted, have fun with the complaints now. I immediately went to meet with Dave from the code department, and on June 20th, Merriam Code Enforcement filed a complaint with the Harmons. Okay, so today, the Harmons rented a U-Haul, and I think removed all the trash on the side yard. So if you look at the pictures I gave you, the top picture is the pile of trash they put to be annoying to my tenants. Their goal, I think, is have my tenants leave to make life difficult for me. And that is the trash pile that they moved today. They had a U-Haul there today. So when they go to court Thursday, I guess they can say, well, we've done what we're supposed to do. And the file gets closed. And they've done this game for years now. Okay, so here's the summary, I think is concerning mostly for the city of Merriam. The Harmons have a history of buying homes and destroying them and causing neighbors and different cities like Fairway a huge amount of time and expense. So there's a handout from a synopsis of the council people in Fairway and what they had to deal with. They owned a home in Fairway. Went through the same thing. I actually talked to somebody in Fairway today. They confirmed that after years of dealing with them, there was a fire in the house, and the city actually had to come in and demolish it. The Harmons still own the lot, and the city has to maintain it. So, it's my opinion, the home and yard are an extreme health and safety threat. The Harmons have not been able to pass through the garage to access the basement because the garage is stuffed with trash from floor to ceiling, front to back, and I've actually seen the first floor of the house. It is deplorable. If there was a fire, there is no way to get to the breaker box in the basement. They have not been able to enter the basement for 2 years. They can't use the washer and dryer. I think part of their debris is the kids just wear clothes until they're dirty and they throw them away. The kids, as far as I know, have been removed from the house, and there's 7 of them. I have codes in front of me. Oh, sorry, I missed this. I talked to codes in Fairway today, and as I already mentioned, they did demolish the house. So my summary for what I've done is over 40 years, I've been a landlord. I have excellent properties. I have 3 in Merriam. I've owned over
You have
3.
30 seconds, sir.
Yes, sir. Oh, 3 seconds?
30, so
Okay, I'll go
25.
quick. I've done over 330 homes. I've never seen anything like this. It's insanity. It's truly whack-a-mole. They move trash from front to back, play games with neighbors. It is clear in the Merriam City Code that the city does have the authorization to do abatement. So just a recommendation, hate to be bold in this, but the city of Merriam will do much better financially if they discourage them or encourage them to leave quickly. Otherwise, you'll probably do the same thing to you.
Thanks for bringing it forward, sir.
Hope that made sense. Is there any follow-up or anything else the city will do at this point?
Well, my understanding is going to court, and that if I were you, I would suggest that you be there to speak to the judge in reference to that, would be my
Okay.
suggestion. But
Is it possible to speak to the judge via email or some other time before coming to
I
court?
do not know that.
Okay.
Answer that question, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have anyone else signed up this evening, but is anyone else out there that would like to come forward at this time? Yes, sir, come forward and give your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Council. Billy Crone, that's CROAN, as in November 4th, 6633 Wed Street. I want to second what my neighbor Nate said. Corporate welfare is just not great. And the fact that we didn't have a public vote on that issue either, even though we had a vote several years prior with our community center for things that have benefited the public, that kind of stood out to me as wrong. I know Prairie Village right now is squirming because they did not have a public vote on, I think, something as little as 23 million, 26, something like that, and we just signed up for 40, so that's not great. I also want to second the better email notices to people who want to be kept in the loop for things. I have definitely asked many times to be alerted about things, and this year was even told, you will not get any response unless it's required by law. That's not a friendly way to run a city. That's not open, that's not transparent, so I'm not happy with that. I'm sorry to hear about all that Brad is struggling with. I hope that nobody is harmed in that house and that the property can be restored. It's been a tough time for immigrants in this country, and I wanted to mention it's Pride Month, Council, and I'm proud to participate here as an American, as a Kansan, and as a Merriamer. I am proud of our neighborhood and our community. We take great pride in our city and our state, and in the spirit of civic participation that brings neighbors together to build a better world. We are proud to welcome those who choose to join our community by embracing the responsibilities of citizenship. Legal immigration and naturalization is not just a process, it's a promise. A promise to contribute peacefully, to participate productively, and to stand shoulder to shoulder with fellow Americans from across the world in shaping our shared destiny. To all those who worked hard, waited their turn, and followed every step to become citizens, we honor your pride, your perspective, and your place in this community. You are proof that the American dream is alive and well-earned. In the spirit of Pride Month, I offer this council a proclamation. Whereas the United States has long been strengthened and enriched by immigrants who peacefully enter and become citizens through the proper process, whereas in 2014, President Barack Obama first issued presidential proclamation establishing June as National Immigrant Heritage Month, a time set aside to honor the culturally enriching contributions of immigrant families, whereas immigrants who follow the path to residency and citizenship stand as exemplars of dedication to our Constitution and civic responsibility, And whereas our community in Merriam benefits every day from immigrants through their labor, their businesses, schools, faith institutions, and civic participation, which enriches shared life and strengthens our bonds. Now therefore, I, Billy Crone, as a proud citizen of Merriam, Kansas, do hereby proclaim June as Immigrant Heritage Month in Merriam, Kansas, and I affirm that this designation aligns with the national observance begun in 2014, and I invite you to join in pride of legal immigrant families who contribute deeply to our city, to our state, and our nation through their peaceful pursuit of the American dream. Proclaimed this 23rd day of June, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else want to come forward at this time? Yes, sir, come forward and give your name and address for the record.
Name's Don Italiano, and I live off 5148 Hayes, one of the oldest areas in Merriam. For a little history, it used to be Zarda Dairy that makes milk. The offspring, they make the barbecue. I got the original house, by the way. Mine's more of a question, you guys. I seen on the email or some reading that you guys want to tear up downtown because of flood control. Is that true?
We're working with the Corps of Engineers on flood control down there. I have been for years.
When was the last time it's been a flood?
Well, it's been a long time.
I know it. I've been through all of it. I got caught in the rain we had 7 or 8 inches. And it comes up, but it doesn't flood. Unless you go on down where they plug it up past Merriam, but other than that, that's why I was wanting to question. Are they going to move all those businesses out of there so they can put a parking lot or something? That's my question, so.
Yeah, and we have no answers. So,
Okay, all right.
but-
Sounds good enough to me. Thanks.
Anyone else have any questions concerning that?
Speak on the stormwater item when that comes up.
Well, you've used 5 minutes up, Mr. Crone, already of your time this evening. Okay. Anyone else this evening? Well, I believe it was almost 5 minutes. Maybe, let me correct myself. I don't want to take that for advantage. Do you happen to have how many minutes Mr. Crone has?
He may have had a minute and a half left.
Okay. We'll give you a minute and a half of that time, sir. Okay. I apologize for not knowing for sure, but I thought it was close. Anyone else? Okay. I think. I don't want to get into this as far as how many seconds that we have and don't have. I don't know that.
That gentleman used all of his 5
You've
minutes.
used all your 5 minutes, sir. Okay. 5 minutes is for anything that goes on during the evening. So I suggest people in the future mark your time. So, well, I will close out the public portion of that meeting then. And the next item up will be consent agenda. All items listed under this heading are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items, yet unless a council member so requests, in which case that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separate. We do have 2 items this evening. Does anybody wish to have either of those items removed from the consent? Okay, see nobody wishing to have anything removed. I would entertain a motion. Go, Mr. Silvers.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that the council approve consent agenda item numbers 1 and 2.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Go ahead, Ms. Haynes.
Mr. Mayor, I second that.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion, a second.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Kozemeyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, the next item up this evening is Mayor's Report. I always like to talk a little bit about what I and other council members have done over the last couple of weeks. I'll just get through this real quickly. I attended the Johnson County, Wyandotte County Mayor's monthly meeting. It was hosted by Mayor Melanie Hepperly of Fairway. We each get a chance to talk about pertinent things in our respective cities. A council member attended the UCS Human Service Summit on Cultivating Resilience in an Uncertain Political Landscape. Both nonprofit and local government officials attended. There's a lot of uncertainty on how funding will pan out. I attended the Business Appreciation event hosted by Economic Tourist Manager Karen Crane, our very own community center. Although there was not a large attendance, those who were there were very appreciative and we got to interact with them. I and several staff council members were interviewed by Fox Zip Trip crew about Merriam. We were excited to have them highlight our city during their recent newscast. They shared a lot about our great businesses and all that we have to offer here in Merriam. Our thanks go out to them for a thorough job they did. Our entire metro now got to see what a great city Merriam is. Council member attended a Shiny Garden tour, which featured 2 properties in Merriam. We congratulate Leach, Hines, and Weischer for the wonderful gardens and representing Merriam in that. Council member attended the Make Music Day at the Merriam Community Center. I and several council members attended the Northeast Chamber ribbon cutting of the JCDS new home in Ward 1. This home will house 3 women who have had difficulty, would have difficulty if they were living alone and without the support of the county. Commissioners Fast, Chairman Kelly were also in attendance. Big thank you goes out to the county for providing programs that address this growing issue. Friends of the JCDS have plans for more housing units in Johnson County. We wish them luck in their endeavors. I and several council members attended the Family Fun Friday at Brown Memorial Park. I like to call this event Party in the Park still, but just for the record. Food, games, band, inflatables were there for part of the festivities. Another great event by our Park and Rec Department. Our council had a special council meeting last Monday in which some tremendous decisions were made concerning Merriam Grand Marketplace. Our thanks go out to Direct Development for providing a great plan that will once again make a transformative project at the Shawnee Mission Parkway and Antioch intersections. I and a council member attended the Flags for Freedom Committee meeting. The event's upon us. Flag setup is June 28th at 7 a.m. Flag takedown is July 5th at 10 a.m. We're always looking for volunteers for this event. See the webpage to sign up or show up that day if you want to help. A special event at 1 p.m. will occur on July 4th at the Farmers Market. And there will be a patriotic band, and it will be entertaining us, and there will be food trucks available. We hope that you can attend. I and a council member met with Mr. Engel developed tonight's agenda. I attended the Northeast Johnson County Mayor's meeting at 1900 Shawnee Mission Parkway. This meeting was hosted by Mission Woods Mayor Erica Hartley. I and a council member attended the Forest Park Block Party. We had the opportunity to tell residents about all the great things occurring in Merriam. They are thrilled that a new grocery store is coming to Merriam, I might add. I attended the Johnson County Kiwanis function and shared within the group that all Merriam is doing. And probably last but not least of this event is that we had several individuals, Jenna Gant, Caleb Hunt, Cole Serber, and Whitney Yadrish represented the city of Merriam in the Northeast Johnson County Annual Tournament. Would you like to enlighten us on how you did?
Yes, so we had the best showing on the course that we've had in many years. We ended up tying with Mission for the city trophy, but Mission won the tiebreaker. So I've already been in touch with Mayor Flora and have let her know that next year it's on.
Okay.
So we had a great time. It's awesome to support our local businesses and see our business owners. So.
Thank you, Ms. Yadrish.
And it was hot, but not as hot as last year.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you. Mr. Silvers, do you have a question? Or
I have a
comment?
question for Whitney, because I lost a championship that was a tiebreaker and the rules were rock, paper, scissors. What was your tiebreaker?
Well, we found out after the tie, the tiebreaker was on the hole with the highest handicap. So the longest hole, hardest hole, whoever had the best score on that hole. And we shot par and they shot a birdie. So I'm suspicious on a par 5, but
Well,
yeah.
congratulations. I much rather would have lost that way than rock, paper, scissors.
The trophy is so big, you guys. We really were excited, but we didn't get it. So next year, now we know where the tiebreaker hole is and when to use the mulligans that we get.
Well, thank you and for your whole team for being there and representing Merriam. And thank
You're
you for-
welcome. We love it every year. The Forest too. Yeah.
Well, that concludes my mayor's report. Next item up is council items. We have an amended MOU between Johnson County coming forward. And then we have the chief coming forward for us. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. What you have before you is an amended MOU that we have with the Johnson County County Commissioners for co-responder services. There's not a great change in the MOU. The changes were mostly for budgetary reasons. At the beginning of this, their budgeting cycle was a little bit off kilter from the city's budgeting cycle, and we ran into a couple instances where they were asking for things outside of our budget. So they're great partners, and all we had to do was discuss what changes we need to make. This amended MOU reflects those changes to get them back on our budgeting cycle so that we can both more efficiently fund those services that we enjoy here in the city of Merriam. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Chief McLaughlin? Okay, I see no questions. I would entertain a motion. Ms. Hands.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve an amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding with the Johnson County Board of County Commissioners for the co-responder services and authorize you, the mayor, to sign the amended agreement.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, Ms. Shadrich.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmember Cosmeyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Looks like next item up is consider agreement between Johnson County and the City of Merriam. Looks like we got Mr. Engel coming forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Next item is consider agreement between Johnson County Board of County Commissioners and the city to share the cost of design work for Upper Turkey Creek project. This is funded through SMAC, which is Stormwater Management Advisory Council, funds that come from the county. On June 13th, 2022, City Council approved a design agreement with the Corps to investigate the 2015 feasibility study, which we call the Upper Turkey Creek Core Project. The validation for that and design work continues. Every year, we annually appropriate funds with our partners, SMAC, to pay for the work for the year to come. The work that's projected to occur in 2025 is $1.6 million, of which the Corps picks up 65% of. The local sponsor, which is us, picks up 35%. We split that 35%, 75-25 with our partners at the county. So we pay 25%, county pays 75% of that 35%. Of that $1.6 million, the council has already paid of that. The 35% would be $560,000. We've already paid $550,000. If you'll recall, on December 9th, 2024, we issued a payment for $300,000. And then on February 10th, we issued another payment for $250,000. This is the agreement with SMAC. They're just running a little bit slower than they normally do for them to approve their budget and enter into the agreement with us so they can reimburse us their 2025 funds. So the amount of money that we'll be seeking for reimbursement is $412,500. We are, as an update to the process we're in with the Corps, we had hoped by about this time we would have enough answers to start a process where we could start to have a conversation with the public, with the business owners about what the options would be downtown. We have been told that because there's some engineering issues that they have to overcome in terms of elevating the bridges to get downtown out of to get everything out of the floodplain. There's a possibility that elevating those bridges might realign Merriam Drive in some sort of manner. We don't have any information on that. That's just been shared with us verbally. But because of that, we don't believe we have the answers that we need to answer the questions we'll be asked. We likely won't have that information until January at this point. So it's looking like we will not be having a conversation until after the first of year about what the future potential options are to address the floodplain in downtown. But this is the agreement with SMAC for our 2025 funds. Again, happy to answer any questions about that.
Any questions for Mr. Engel? No question. Oh, go ahead, Ms. Cosma.
Yeah, I do just have a sort of a comment about how it's unfortunate that we're going to have to wait another 6 months to hear about it, and hopefully that they've got some sort of great solution worked out.
Yeah, we want to make sure, we've been very, very clear that we want to make sure that we've given them for the last several years, these are the type of questions that we're going to need to be able to answer. And until we can answer them sufficiently for the council and for the public, there's no point in having the conversation because we can't make an educated decision on what the best route is. So we shared that with them. Community Development Director and I met with them last week, 2 weeks ago, and reiterated our points of this is the information that we need to make these decisions, and they seem to understand, again, the information that we're looking for, but we just don't have it.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Mr. Engel? Okay. Call Mr. Crone if you'd like to come forward. You have a minute and 20 seconds, was that?
I'll be quick. I shouldn't need that. Before we start cutting checks and signing contracts with Joco to bulldoze downtown or enclose our beloved Turkey Creek in 10-foot walls and berms, I would suggest that we might want to check that the floodplain is still valid and true. I filed an open records request with our city to see the last time that Merriam asked FEMA to double-check that, because I know Southwest Boulevard got worked on about 20 years ago, and that fixed the problem downstream from us, which caused ours. But the response that I got back from our city is no such records exist. That's kind of telling. That's kind of scary. So yeah, maybe with these new 6 months that we got, we can write a letter to FEMA and make sure that it's still current. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. And thanks for letting me speak, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, well, with that, I would entertain a motion from someone. Okay. I'm sorry, go Ms. Yadrich, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve an agreement between the City of Merriam and the Johnson County Board of County Commissioners to share the design costs of the Upper Turkey Creek Stormwater Project.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second, Ms. Hands?
I second that.
Yeah, Madam Clerk, we have a motion, a second.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yadrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Cosmeyer.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Looks like next item of staff items, we have a community development update. We've got Director Dyer coming to the podium.
You, Mayor, Council. Just a brief update on your grant programs, a couple of the three big ones we're working with right now. First of all, it's gotten very hot, as we all noticed, so folks are looking for a new HVAC system to replace their current one, a more energy efficient one. Definitely have funds to help them with that and our sustainability grant. So again, encourage people to apply for that grant, again, to help them with the installation of a new air conditioner. And then also, we still have a little bit of money left in our residential exterior grant program. So if folks are looking to do some upgrades, a new roof or something like that to their home, definitely have the ability to provide them some assistance with that. And then the last thing, one of our most appreciated grants are refund of the city's portion of your property tax. And let everybody know that we have until August 29th to get that application in. So if folks haven't done that yet, they need to start working on that. Obviously, they should have paid both halves of their property tax. They can bring in all that information, and if they're eligible, we can give them, again, a refund on their city portion of the property tax. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Dyer? Okay, I see no questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, well, it looks like next item up then would be the May financial update, according to my records. Okay.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council. So everything is tracking very well as far as the finances go. I don't have anything to report or any findings, so just happy to answer any questions that you might have or concerns you see.
Go ahead, Mr. Silvers.
Thank you very much. I had a quick question. When I was looking at your report,
Yes.
I noticed that there was a decline in the downtown Merriam retail numbers between 2023 and 2025. It looks like it went down 37%. Do you have any hypothesis on why that might be?
Yes, so for anyone that wants to flip to, I think we're talking about page 4. There's a chart on there, and specifically Councilman Silvers is referencing the Johnson Drive retailers. It does appear that there was a decline from 23 to 25, pretty substantial. So I am happy to look into that and get you some more specific information. We receive sales tax numbers by industry sector, not by specific retailer. So, but I can look and see if 23 and 24 were an anomaly and they were just high, and now we're going back to where we were prior, or if we're continuing to see a trend down. I'm sure other staff members probably know if there was substantial closures or changes that happened with some of our retailers in that time. I wasn't aware of any, but I can definitely deep dive as far as I can with any information that we're given. So,
If you wouldn't mind just letting us know. That'd be.
Happy to, yes,
I'd
sir.
be interested to know.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would also encourage you to let us know, because it's Johnson Drive Retail, what area that might be.
Yes, happy to do that, ma'am. I'll put some clarifications in your Friday report.
Any other questions for Director Borth?
Okay, thank you.
See no other questions, thank you. Okay, well, what my understanding is next, we're gonna have someone from your department chief is gonna teach us a little about active shooter training, is that correct?
Yeah, Ruben's new to the council, and so we try to give a very high-level presentation on active shooter training. This is the same training that we give to any citizen groups that want to come into have us come into their businesses and give them an overall lesson on active shooter training. So I'm going to have Captain Waters come up here and give you a little presentation on active shooters.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. See if I can get technology to work here. So my presentation is not going to be specific to here, this building, things along those lines. It's more of a overview of general situational awareness and things along those lines that we talk about in here. And you can kind of take that information and look around and see those things within the council here. And if this were to ever happen in here, what things you could do. But one of the things, I'm just going to click through here, that I want you, there we go. Those three words, run, hide, fight, those are the ones that I want you to remember. Of anything that we talk about tonight, when you get into a stressful situation, your body naturally starts to shut down. I'm going to play the video in a minute. So you want to remember those three words. Again, when you get into a stressful situations, your body actually kind of goes back to what you've thought about, talked about, heard about, learned about, and when you want to keep it real simple. So we don't want to tell you have to do 3 forward rolls and a backflip to get through this. The run, hide, fight is really what we want here. So something to think about, though, is, how often do we talk about fire drills and at our schools and businesses along those lines versus when was the last death at a school or a business really to a fire? We haven't had many. All of the technology upgrades, fire sprinklers, fire suppression, those kinds of things have really dampened that. But when you think about how often are active shooter and intruder drills conducted, thankfully nowadays more so often. I know my children have come home and talked about it. Being this a topic that I'm passionate about, we've talked quite a bit about it, but it's not as much as we probably should. But there's the bottom line. When was the last death due to one? Fairly recently. So we want to make sure we're learning about that stuff. So how do we define this? The definition we use is the Department of Homeland Security defines an active shooter as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined and populated area. Notice it doesn't say indoors. Notice it doesn't say where we commonly think. I mean, if you want to think about being at a concert at Azura Amphitheater or whatever it is over in Bonner Springs, that is a confined and populated area. So this can apply to both indoor, outdoor, things along those lines. So we always want to talk about how we kind of got to where we are with this. A lot of people think this is kind of a newer phenomenon in the last 15 years, 20 years, but the reality is it's been going on for longer than that. This gentleman was in Camden, New Jersey, but what we really talk about is Columbine High School, because it kind of changed public's perception and police response to how these incidents occurred. This is also a school where, we send our kids away from the home where they're safe at home with us, send them to school where we want them to be safe with their teachers and get educated, and this was not even a thought on somebody's mind until that day. When the officers responded that day, they responded how they were trained. Bad things were happening inside. We're going to contain that bad stuff from coming outside of it. Unfortunately, what we realized was every time we heard guns going off, more people were dying, and we realized that we had to retrain the officers on what to do. So we started making immediate entry and training the officers that are on the road to do that. Virginia Tech. So if you go out and Google police response to an active shooter, you're going to find that stuff. There's videos that shows all of our training, all of those things. Well, in the police world, fire world, however you look at it, When you go to a training site, we don't always get to break down doors or things along those lines, so we usually would just open the door, go in, and so on and so forth. Well, unfortunately, when these people are looking into this, they're obviously trying to make their name on the news and get known. So they were trying to figure out how they're going to do that. This one saw that they chained the door shut. So when the police went up, their first instinct was just to open the door, but it was chained shut. Well, now, Merriam and several other agencies, we have breaching bags that have lock cutters and things along those lines to make that response a lot quicker. And then Sandy Hook Elementary, kind of the worst of the worst, but this one really changed the public's response to these. For the longest time, we were responding, teaching the public to hide in place, shelter in place, lock yourself in rooms, things along those lines, to try and survive this situation. Well, with Sandy Hook, what they realized is as the incident was occurring, they found students and staff running away from the scene, miles and miles away from the scene, and they asked them, why are you doing that? What taught you to do that? Well, what do we teach our kids about strangers? Do we tell them to just walk up and shake everybody's hand, or do we tell them to be a little bit curious? So when they started talking to these kids, they found out that they saw a bad thing happening with a bad person in their room, and they wanted to get away from it. So they were following their natural instincts. So this is kind of where the whole run, hide, fight's infancy started, was if you can get out, get away from it. If there's no way for you to get out, hide. And if at the last resort, fight. And we'll talk about that a little bit here in a few minutes. So we've talked about some incidents. You guys, I'm sure, have seen them on the news, but I always bring up, we have had them locally here with Kansas City, Missouri, Overland Park, Lenexa had one. We had one at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade. That is still considered a combined and populated area with what they had going on down there. Nationally, San Bernardino, California, internationally, the list goes on and on, unfortunately. But it is a more common phenomenon that we need to do some training and talking about to be prepared for. So just some quick statistics. You guys can read through those, but it's 154 events in a 10-year span that they studied, which is quite a bit. 96% were male and acting alone, and that's becoming more of a popular thing, is to be a lone actor. Just because people can't not talk about what they're doing. The average shooter lasts 12 minutes. 37% were 5 minutes or less. A lot of that has to do with the public's response and the 911 and the accessibility of cell phones and getting the information out there so that the police can respond quicker. So what do we want you to do? We want you to be aware of your environment and possible dangers. Now, I don't expect everybody to walk in and be, staring around the corner and being suspicious of everything, but pay attention when you walk into a store. Hey, how did I get into this store? As I'm walking through this store, pay attention to my exits. The Sam's Club in Lenexa, the Sam's Club in Lenexa, the Costco incident. A lot of them went outdoors that were not the main entrance, but that's just because people were looking around, paying attention. Take note of the two nearest exits. We talked about that. So as you walk in, just, peek around, look around. Hey, here's an exit. There's an exit, like in here. Exit over here. Exit out here. If you can get out, get out. And that's what we want you to do. We'll come find you. We'll come figure out where you're at. We'll come talk to you. But the biggest thing is to run away if you can. If you're in an office or classroom and you can't get out, you want to secure the door. And by secure the door, we're going to put everything we can in front of it. We're going to move furniture in front of it, and we're going to get away from that door, back in a corner somewhere else. And then as a last resort, attempt to take the active shooter down. I understand and respect the fact that not everybody goes through the training that police do, and we're not expecting you to act that way. But what we would like is if there's somebody in the room that's willing to attack or go after the person that's coming in, can you be a distraction? So everybody in daily life, you go through what we call an OODA loop. It's a military concept of observe, orient, decide, and act. So every time you take a step somewhere, every time you look, any of those things, you're constantly in that OODA loop. Well, if somebody comes into a door and they've already observed and they've oriented that door and they've decided when I go through that door, this is what I'm going to do, and somebody throws a tennis ball at them, guess what? They're restarting that whole thing. And they're having to redo all of those points of that. Well, that gives somebody enough time to start doing something if they need to. Call 911 when safe and feasible. One of the things we have in Johnson County is you can text 911 if you weren't aware of that, so you can do that as well and give them information through that. What we're saying here is once you get that door barricaded, you feel like you're in a secure-ish location, that's when we want you to get the 911 calls in and give out the information that you can. So one of the things you can do, come up with a plan that works for you and your environment. We all have places that we go on the regular basis, work, home, store, wherever that is. If you're going to a place on a regular, let's think about that as we're walking through. Coming into the council meetings, think about it as we walk in, City Hall, police department, wherever you go. Practice it, even if it's in your mind. If I'm sitting in my office and I go, okay, if somebody were to come into this room, what am I going to do? The more that I can do those things through the mind and more of the times that I work that through my head, when that instant happens, again, you'll go back to what your mind is most used to hearing, and your body will just start doing it. Pay attention to those you see every day. If there's something that sparks your interest or makes the hair on the back of your neck raise, hey, that person's just not acting right. Speak up, say something. I would rather have somebody call us and say, hey, John's usually this jovial guy, but for the last day or two, he's really not. And I don't know what's going on. And maybe he posted something here or there on a social media site. If that's concerning, then you probably should say something and let us figure out whether there is some concern there or there's not. I'd rather be in front of it than behind it. Know what your location is, especially if you're in a place that you're most used to going. There's a lot of times if something like this were to happen somewhere in Merriam, there'll be a lot of agencies coming that aren't going to be real familiar with the building. Merriam may be, the officers may be, but if you say, I'm in room 212, well, that gives them an idea and start looking for things. I'm in the back corner, I'm by the produce aisle, whatever the case may be, just kind of, situational awareness and paying attention when you're going through it. So what are we going to do? Well, our purpose is to stop the shooter as soon as possible. So we're going to make a lot of noise. There's going to be groups of us. There's going to be a lot of us coming in and being very upfront and forceful. Usually we'll be in teams of 2 or 4. Fortunately for us in the Johnson County area, we'll have lots of help coming, so we usually won't have a lone response. We do train our officers. If you think you can go in and handle it on your own, by all means, go do it. But typically it'll be teams of 2 or 4. They may be in regular uniforms. They may be something like this, external vests. There could be plain clothes. Just know that they're going to be yelling police. They're going to be identifying themselves the best that they can, but you're going to see all kinds of different uniforms. We'll be armed with all kinds of different weapons, handguns, shotguns, rifles. It just kind of depends on the different departments. We are going to shout commands. We will push people to the ground. It's probably not the time to go up and try to grab onto one of them because they are in the same focus. They're, high intensity things going on. So it's not going to be the jovial officer that you're used to seeing in places. They're going to be making emergency response into things. First officers arrive, we're not going to stop and assist people. We may stop and say, hey, can you put pressure on that? Can you help this person walk out of here or whatever the case may be. But the faster we can get more people in and get to that place and where that's occurring, the quicker it's going to be over. Containment is key, and then that way we go through and can get more rescue personnel coming in to start saving lives, because ultimately that's where we want to be. We won't be the only ones coming. You're going to have fire, EMS, SWAT teams, helicopters, tanks, you name it, it's coming until we tell it to stop. And I would rather have that response and have the access to those if we need it. As more people come, we'll have an outer perimeter. We'll start keeping people from coming in and out of the scene, and we'll start collecting people and trying to push them into an area so that we can make sure and take accountability for who was supposed to be in the building at the time. It's going to be hard to tell who's in charge. Eventually somebody will take over and start finding out who and making decisions on what needs to happen. But you'll know you can find the police as it starts to calm itself down. They'll back themselves back down and be a little bit more approachable. So how do we want you to react? Try to remain calm. I know that's kind of a cliche thing, but do your best. Follow the officer's commands. Keep your hands empty. Raise them above your head. This is what hurts us. This is what we're paying attention to. If they're up here like this, it's really hard for somebody to do something to grab a weapon or things. We can tell really quickly if you have it up there. Avoid grabbing onto the officers. Understandably, that's going to be a safety escape, but that's where they're probably going to be pushing people off and making quick movements towards them. Again, they're going to be zeroed in here, paying attention to things, so those quick movements are going to make them real nervous. Don't stop to ask for help when evacuating. If I'm going that way, go that way. Because I've already come this way and didn't have anything bad happening behind me. So just kind of go in the opposite direction. Keep moving and get out. Again, remember the run, hide, fight. If you can and is safe, help the injured leave the building. If you have the ability to help somebody out of the building, don't make yourself into another victim because you want to help somebody. But if you have that ability, we want you to help put the pressure on, tie off a shirt or something, and then help them get out of the building as well. So what are some of the things that we happen afterwards? We're going to want to account for everyone. Not always the easiest thing to do, especially in public places, but we are going to try to make sure we can account for everybody. So we want to make sure if there's a master list of employees or patrons, that we can try to get a hold of that if possible so we can start reconciling where the people are. We're going to look at what type of counseling we have. We're going to need to get that started fairly quickly. Even if you weren't in that area when it happened, but your coworkers experienced it, you're going to experience it as well. So you want to make sure you're taking care of everybody that's involved in that incident, even on the outskirts of it. Building's going to be a crime scene. It'll be locked down for quite a while. Is there a plan for alternate space for business? Do we have another place that we could hold a city council meeting if this were to become a crime scene? Or do we have plans for that in the future so that we can still have the continuity of business and city business occurring even though we still have an investigation going on? And then who's going to be in charge? Who's going to be the go-to person for that, whatever it may be? If it's here, who are we looking towards to be the person we're going to talk to ask the questions of and get the statements from? So there's a few questions. If you guys have any, my contact info. I kind of moved through this, fairly quickly, but I am going to play you a video that's going to kind of reiterate a lot of what I talked about here. This video is out there on YouTube. You can type in Run, Hide, Fight FBI video and you can find it. I encourage people to use it at different meetings that they attend, just so that you can kind of get this information out there and hopefully one more person watching the video helps save a life. See if it's
Hi, can I get you started with drinks?
Oh, sorry, I gotta take this.
We'll need a minute.
Stairs. No, I'm here. You hear me? Stop this.
Hey, you need to back up. You can't be here anymore. Get out of my face, what, man. You think I'm afraid of you? Get off, man. 911, there's a clip.
Chances of survival. Don't go up here.
Police, where is he?
By the bar, blue jeans, black shirt. Empty hands up, follow their instructions.
I'm in the direct line of fire if I head for either exit, but I have other options to help me survive. Guys, come on, in here. Come on. Go, go, go. Lock and barricade the door.
Both my exits are blocked by the shooter. I gotta stay hidden. I'm no victim. I'm ready for this.
He's applying direct pressure to the wound to stop the bleeding until we can find a tourniquet. In the meantime, turn off your phones and make a plan to defend yourself.
We have to fight to survive. If you control the weapon, you control the shooter. I'll go for the gun. He'll go for his arms. The bartender will go for the head.
Show me your hands!
Over here!
You can survive a mass shooting if you're prepared. Remember, run, hide, or fight. Run. Wherever you go, be aware of alternate exits. Quickly and cautiously evacuate in a direction away from the attacker. Don't hesitate. Seconds matter. Remember windows and emergency exits. Leave belongings behind. Keep your empty hands raised and clearly visible when exiting a building. Follow all instructions from the police. Don't stop until you're sure you've reached a safe location. Hide. If there is no safe escape route, find a good hiding place. Lock and barricade the door. Silence cell phones. Prepare a defense plan. Fight. Fight only as a last resort. Use available objects as improvised weapons. Use teamwork and surprise. A coordinated ambush can incapacitate an attacker. You're fighting for your life. Don't fight fair. Stop the bleed. A victim can die of uncontrolled blood loss in 5 minutes or less. Apply pressure or a tourniquet to control severe bleeding. Go to fbi.gov/survive to learn more.
Thank you all for taking the time to listen.
Have any questions for Captain Waters? For you. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Shatters.
If you're injured and you can't run or necessarily move, how does that change your priorities?
The officer or the individual?
The individual.
You're going to try to get yourself to a safe place as best you can. As far as the officers go, the first ones aren't going to stop. They may tell you, hey, here's a tourniquet, or put some pressure on that, because we've trained, fortunately, in Johnson County for a long time with medical and fire to get the officers in as quick as possible, and fire is coming in with the next wave of officers to start saving those people.
Any other questions? Ms. Hands?
So in the bar scenario, who might have called 911?
Probably the people in the room once they lock themselves in there.
Okay.
Or you're going to have people passing by.
As they're running out,
Mhm.
maybe?
Mhm.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Silvers.
I want to thank you for presenting this. I think one of my big takeaways is I now know that you can text 911, especially if you're in a situation where you can't talk without maybe giving up your position.
Yeah, that's a big one that Johnson County has in here, and we can use it for more than just this, obviously. So,
You know, one of the things I thought about, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but I guess I'll ask you, Captain. As a firefighter, I would probably, I know that fire extinguisher will shoot 15 to 20 feet. If you could blind him in his eyes with the powder, I don't have to hit him upside the head with the extinguisher unless he keeps coming at me or something. But they didn't show that, but I just thought myself, I'd probably fire it at him first before I hit him with it.
it's an excellent choice.
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I also didn't know you can text 911 here in Johnson County. Is that pretty common? I work across state line in Jackson County. Do you know if...
I'd have to find that out. I'm sure
Okay.
I can ask, but I think there's several areas around here that you can do it. It's become fairly common.
Okay, cool.
They have so much trouble with their 911. I wouldn't venture that.
Yeah.
Involved with all 911 centers in the area, that is probably a capability everyone has.
Any others? Okay.
Thank you.
Captain. Okay. All right, well, I think I'll ask Mr. Engel if we have anything else from staff.
We don't, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions, Mr. Engel? No questions from Mr. Engel? Okay. Well, I would entertain a motion then this evening.
Mr.
Shatters.
May.
Oh, excuse me.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Okay, Ms. Hands.
It together.
Oh,
I second that.
we have a motion, a second, Madam Clerk.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.